All right, everybody. We are at the end of the Simone Get Your Shit Together trilogy. Mike, go ahead.
Probably my favorite episode title, episode 11, Simone, Hands Off.
Yes.
Team Gurren falls into a trap set by the third member of the four divine generals, Guame. The team is taken captive and stored underground to await execution. While digging an escape path, Simone finally understands Kamina's last words to him, and after having a discussion with Guame, Mia finds out the reason why she was thrown away. Okay, there's something that really makes me laugh about this episode is how bad the dialogue is from the video message.
Oh no! Here comes the gunman! Please save us!
At first, I didn't understand what was going on. I thought it was making fun of like bad anime dubs. But then I realized like, oh no, it's not an anime. It's a transmission.
Yep.
And that just made it all the funnier.
Oh god. I thought that was like that had to be edited by them or something, or like he's using some weird like whatever. But I'm like, and then when you get the later context of the episode, no, he was just telling them because these are real humans. You find that out after they rescue them. They're just like, hey, talk in the most unbelievably obvious. This is a trap voice humanly possible. Like, are you serious? I forget how bad it is every time I watch it. It's the worst. Oh man.
Not to throw more shade at Neon Genesis Evangelion, but that's how I imagine like how people talk about the Netflix dub, because apparently the Netflix dub is bad, and like this is what I picture when I hear bad anime dubbing.
The problem with the Netflix dub, not to get on too long of a tangent, people get really pissy about how there's one or two sentences in it that are only changed by one or two words to make some things more of a direct statement into a question. They're in really important scenes, but there is one where a translation is God is in his heaven and he is happy. I can't exactly what it is, but they change that just slightly. That was the only one where I was really irritated, but a lot of it was just, this isn't the anime that I had to sacrifice a small goat to watch, so it's not as good because they changed the words and it doesn't sound like they recorded it inside a tin can inside a hurricane anymore. Like, shut up. You can finally watch Neon Genesis again. Be happy. It was legitimately impossible. And now it's actually coming out on Blu-ray. I never thought I'd see the day. Like, everyone should just rejoice. You can watch Neon Genesis. They barely changed anything. And I'm going to say this wrong. Other than the God is in his heaven and he is happy thing, this dub's a lot better because it makes the statements make more sense. Come at me. It's true. Anyway, back to Gurren.
I think we might have to cover Neon Genesis in the future. Only because I've been giving this show so much shit.
Dude, I'd be so up for it. I have not watched it since I watched it back in the day when I had to search for it. So this would be fresh takes for both of us. Yep. And the end of that show, I have no idea how you're going to take it at all because it's freaking weird. But,
well, as you can tell by this show, I like weird.
Yeah, it's oh boy. It's something. That's a lot to do with moms. I'll just put it that way. A lot to do with moms. No breast milk, but a lot to do with moms. Anyway, off our Neon Genesis tangent. Go ahead.
So as Brock kind of mentioned in the last episode, this is the one where we open with all of Simone's stuff is in the trash heap because everyone's like, well, if you're not going to help, you're useless.
Yep.
Which I don't like because, again, I do not like Simone being at his lowest.
Yep.
But that's when Nia knocks on the door and asks, "Do you want to build a snowman?"
Yes, she does. It's so much that. You're so right. Oh, do you want to go shoot gun, man? Oh god, keep going. Go ahead.
No, but this is a really sweet moment because before Simone and Kamina dug their way out of their village, Simone has never really had any other friends, and any girl who would talk to him would only say how creepy he is because he works hard and likes to dig. Never really understood that, but I'm glad he has another person in his life who, sees him for what he is.
Exactly. That is so sweet. Before we get away with it, it is such a sad moment that translates into the sweetest thing ever. Like, he's literally carving Kamina out of rocks. He misses him that much. I was like, you wanted to drive that home, how much he misses him. He's literally making like as many versions of him as he can. This is the sad version of the altar of Arnold from Hey Arnold that Helga puts together. Mm-hmm. But and then literally Nia just sits down. She's like, I can see why you like him so much and all this other stuff. And she just asks to sit there and watch him because it would make him feel better. She's just gonna watch him dig. I'm just like, man, Nia, I never not be you. You're just the best.
She's just so pure.
Yep. Oh man, but yeah, you're right. Oh man, you know why I screwed that up? I've literally read that, put that exact same thing on two separate sheets of notes paper. I had them sitting next to each other and I didn't bump it up. That's why I saw it as literally on the top of this one. I screwed that up. But anyway, an interesting thing before we get away from it and you go full hog is we have to remember in the first part of this episode that Guam, or exactly a couple people pronounce different ways, mentions about Lagann, and Genome just goes, so you claim to know something about that thing of which you do not know a thing about, which kind of, in a way, makes it seem like he knows what Lagann is.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Because remember, the humans stole a gunman.
Yep.
So he has to know something.
Yes, exactly. And it's just like telling him, he's like, you don't know shit about that thing. Just like, how cool is Lagann again? Wait a minute. Exactly. But go ahead.
What else? Yeah, this whole plan of Guame is, it's basically designed to put everyone in the same position that Kamina and Simone were in the pilot. Yep. And that's why I told Brock off camera that I think this episode is perfect.
He did. He's like, we're not going to have a mic changes. We're not. I'm just like, okay. Go ahead.
Everything about this episode is like pretty much the ultimate payoff to, well, again, the pilot, because how do you think Simone got out of the Jihad village? He had to dig his way out. Damn, and if you recall what I alluded to last time, Kamina's final words, don't be the Simone that Kamina believes in, or the Kamina that Simone believes in. Be the Simone that you believe in.
And then that being precursed by Yoko, like the moment where, like, when they finally cut to that jail and everyone is like Jorgen and Balenbo are smashing their head up against walls. Keaton's trying to eat the freaking walls. I forget every time that someone picks up another person and is bashing them up against the wall when they have the group shot. I keep forgetting about that. And then everyone's just like, we're screwed. And there's not a noise to be made. Everyone goes dead silent. And all you hear is a slight chipping. in the background, and no one knows what the hell it is, and they all turn, and they don't make a damn noise, and all you just see is little droplets of dirt just dropping down to show who's making progress. Simone, who is a person that was only good for digging tunnels, supposedly. He's the one getting us out of it. Simone, exactly. And then it hits Yoko like a brick freaking wall. And she's just like, and the exact quotes that dead silent watching him. And he's just like, he's always the one that saves my ass. And he's always the one that backs up my talking. And he's just like, I get it now. The entire time, Kamina was able to act tough because he knew that Simone was going to be the one to back up his words. And I'm just like, our boy finally gets the respect. And then everyone's just like, Kamina told us he was going to do this shit, and we didn't believe him, and we weren't there, and he's about to shut us all the hell up. And like you said, that moment where he leads up and he's like, that I believe in, and then the drill starts glowing again, and Lagann smashes through the wall going, glad to see you got your shit together. Let's go.
It's one of the most satisfying moments of the series so far.
It's one of in the entire series. I will tell you that point blank. It's in my top 5 moments because that is where it's just like, you figured your shit out. It's that moment for anyone. Like, this is the definition of like coming out of a depressive state. It's that moment where you finally saw sunlight and you get to see that there's stuff you can do. You just need to get your way out. And I've said this, I know I've said it before, but I didn't get it. This show uses a drill as a metaphor for so many things. And I thought at the beginning, I'm like, a drill's going to be pretty limited on stuff that you can use it as a metaphor. No, it's not. My lord, they use it in every bit, and it is just this raw surface of when they start. But then it's just like, there wasn't a hole here. Was there a hole here before? It's just from the dirt pile right where Lagann went straight down to them. I was just like, okay, shit's about to go down. And go ahead.
So what do you think of Guame as a villain? Do you think
he's the closest thing to lighten my words, a sexual deviant in the show? Because it's like, you learn pretty much that they don't outright say it, but it's an all-female village. He wants to keep Nia as their chieftain to train them so that they act appropriately in the presence of their master to serve him while they get showered with his affections. I'm just like...
He's grooming them vicariously.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, boy, are you a pile of trash. But he's very much a schemer, and I appreciate that because you had Timelth, which was the big brute. He's like, I'm going to smash you. I've got the tools. You got Viral, who's the proud warrior that can't catch a break. And now you've got the schemer. And you have the deadly kind of snake, manipulative one in Adine, which...
You could call her the succubus of the group.
You could call her the succubus of it. But yeah, I love him as a villain. And he gets a lot better moments later on. Like, you've just scratched the surface with him. But yeah, he's really good. I love that all of them have a personality that clearly shows they're not a person that could be the big dude, and they're not trying to be the big dude. Like, every one of them fully understands that Genome could pound their face in. And none of them try and speak up too much, other than Guan when he makes when he says, give me a shot, I can do this. And yeah, I like him as a villain. As my favorite of all of them, he might be. I think he has the most he kind of has the most personality, and he's the only one out of the 4 who it feels like he has some semblance of control over Genome. Not in that, like, and if I'm spoiling anything, forgive me, but I don't see him as like the one who overthrows the Spiral King. Okay.
But let's just say he's like the Starscream to Spiral King's Megatron.
I could see why you think that now. I won't say whether or not that stays that way, but I see why you see that because he's the one person that it's kind of like Stillwell and Homelander. He kind of, and not in the same way, but like he kind of knows how to quell him, like to make it so he doesn't just so that when he cocks off a little, that he doesn't get like just straight ganked. He knows how to, like you said, he knows how to work around pressing every single one of Genome's buttons. He knows how to get to the point of where it's at 99% and then just cook it down a little bit to where he never pisses him off too much. He knows how to work with him. That's for sure, because like Adine just gets pissy, and we never got to see Timoth to talk with him too much. I assume that if we got to see a conversation between those two, that Timoth actually would probably be the best one at talking with him because he'd be pretty straightforward. But
Timoth is like the Reddits of the group.
Yes, that is very, very true. I could see that, but yeah, he's definitely the most, like you said, outside of Adine, has the most personality to him, because Timoth was kind of just like going to smash with the big weapon and brah. But yeah, it's good. I would say that he's my favorite. Cito Mandre is pretty good. I will admit that. Man, Adine is at some point becomes a pretty one note. It's like she's very much got her personality and she plays that to all of her whatever. It's sad that the best out of all of them is the guy who's below them. I like Viral more than I like all of them. I will openly say that.
Viral had my heart at episode 3.
Yep.
He will always be my favorite. But he's technically not one of the 4 generals, so
yeah.
You know.
That is very true. No, that description would not work. I was about to say he's kind of like Rodimus to Prime, but like he's not that close with Genome. But we'll see how things go along. Anyway, yeah, it's just. Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you. You haven't seen all of them yet, but okay. We had Seirun, which was Adine's. We had Gember, which was Wame, and then we had. Oh, I can't remember what Timoth's gunman was called. They only say it once. But out of all of the new gunmen so far, of the main 4, which one do you like the most so far?
I think I like Adine's the most.
The Scorpion?
Because, yeah. I think it has the most sleek design.
Oh yeah.
Plus, her entrance is kind of awesome with the rising waves.
Yes, it makes no damn sense. It's awesome.
It's animated. No matter where she makes sense.
Exactly, like you said, she got kicked by randomly. We can't exactly see where we're firing. And that's one thing we got to mention. The ending of that last episode is great with that fight between all of them, and she gets punted by Gurren, and Leron's literally just like twirling wires to try and see below her. Oh, it's great. But and a reoccurring character like that I've never got your opinion on is the old man.
Oh, Grandpa?
Yeah. What are you doing here?
Does he have a line of dialogue ever?
I think he might have one. I am struggling to think, but I think he might have one. And it's when you find out some stuff about him, but I think he just has one, if he has any. I'm really struggling to think, and it would have been in season 2. I know he never says a single thing during season 1, but
because I love silent characters who literally just pop up to be the comic relief.
Yes.
As we've mentioned before, this show has a lot of that. One character who I'm a little bit disappointed I haven't been talking enough about is Liron, who is just like kind of taken over the responsibility of engineering Gurren.
Yes. He is one of these silent MVPs. Like him and Rossiu are the people that take care of a lot, but don't get a lot of like shine otherwise. like you see Rossiu has been getting a lot of time in Gurren, but besides that, he's basically just kind of hanging out. Those two are kind of the what I want to say not exponential dialogue. What's the word? Expository dialogue, like in the background, where they're just like kind of talking about how the situation should go. Like when he's talking with them, and he's like, everyone needs to get their stuff together. And Rossi, they're kind of just like whatever. But like, yeah, Liron is slowly fixing the ship, trying to get everything turned on, flipping wires. But yeah, it's hard when like we've gotten to the point of where we have a main cast of like 16 people.
Yep.
And
let me guess, this still isn't even everyone.
Hell no. Not even close. Like you still for the majority of this season, it is, but a couple more come into play in the next one, and it'll shock you. Some that start popping up are freaking awesome. They get an insane entrance music that does not match the show at all, but that's why you get why they're very different, because they're very different. But yeah, there's still some more to come onto the team. And they're technically on the team. A couple of them that you get to meet later are technically on the team now. You just haven't had scenes with them.
Interesting.
Like they're the people that like they're not super important, but they don't have their bigger roles because they haven't needed to yet. Like they're on the ship, and I think you might even see them in background shots, but there's a couple people that are like just basically doing engineering stuff and getting stuff bigger that like when it comes time for them to shine in the second season, you get to see a lot of them. But yeah, it's like 20 people. And that's why I say about escalation in this show. It was Simone and Kamina, and then it became Simone, Kamina, and Yoko, and then Liron, and then Kitan and the family, and then like Dayaka, and then it's like it just slowly escalates until it's time to get to the big bads, and then it's like we've got our crew, they got theirs, let's go. It's like I said, they don't have you in the show if you don't need to be. That's why you haven't met those other people yet. Oh man,
yeah, because with a cast this big, you don't want to overcrowd it too soon.
No, and I like that they can pull off having this many people, because it's like you saw in the jail cell, that's the whole crew of their ship. That's like, I want to say like 30 people in there, and most of them had faces you could recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you even got to see no, that gun wasn't there already. I was in a mistake there, but yeah, it's great. Like, oh, we're seriously getting into the shit nonstop now. It's going to be stuff like this because now Simone is fixed. That again, before we go, we need to mention it. The talk that Simone has with Kamina is gone, but he's on my back and in my heart, and will go on as a part of me. I'm Simone the Digger. Who the hell do you think I am? Finally had his Kamina talk. It was so great. But
see, this is why this episode is perfect. It's everything that we love, that we've loved about their relationship, but now Simone has leveled up. He's evolved past the, scared, timid, what do I do without my bro, to I'll always have my bro. I am my bro. I am me.
Damn right. Oh, it's so good. And then you get to have the moment where Kitan was a little bit before he gets fully redeemed, where he comes up, he's like, damn right, fearless leader, and he smacks him on the back. What? He's like, Kamina picked you for a reason. And he's like, I know that now. I was a moron. You got the freaking line from Yoko. That speech sucked, though.
Yep. Kitan got a Kitan.
Oh, it's great. Though now that everybody's finally happy and like they're getting their stuff together is so great. And like you had the most Nia moment at the end of that ever, where she's like, can we please bury them and let them have a good moment? It was basically them getting over all this stuff, and they had a happy moment and they closed it out. It was just, oh man. I love this show so damn much. I can't say it enough. I love this show so damn much, and everyone in it.
I get it now. Like, the Simone get your shit together arc is in my opinion the point of no return. For those who are either watching it with us or have seen the show already, or you're watching these and you haven't seen it yet, when you get to this part of the story, you're either all in or the show has just not been your cup of tea.
Yep. I would agree with that wholeheartedly, because this is the message they want to shoot moving forward. And if you're not a fan of self-improvement, which I don't know if but I'm just joking. If you don't like how they, because some people don't like, and you've mentioned it, and they get a lot better with it as the show goes on. And I've seen that, like, you haven't brought it up again. Like, at first, they repeated stuff quite a bit. Now they save it for moments for when it actually just, like, needs to be brought up. And it's like they repeated that story that Kamina told about them being stuck trying to dig out their first time. They repeated that same story 3 times, but it actually had a purpose. It's just they get a lot better of, like, I want to say, payoff, and then figuring out when something needs to get brought up again. And actually, this, in my opinion, go ahead.
I don't actually remember the first time they brought up that story, because I know Simone had his own version they told Nia in the previous episode, and then this episode we get Kamina's version. But was the first time in Later Buddy before, or was it like the episode before?
It was in, you remember when I believe this is correct, and I could be so wrong because there's a lot of, I believe it was in when that first time that, like, Let Me Pilot, where I want to say it's in episode 4, where Yoko goes up to Kamina when he's just watching the sunlight or watching the moonlight, and then he comes up, he's like, let me pilot Gurren with you tomorrow. Simone's scared. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then I believe that's
now I remember.
Yeah, he talks about why he needs Simone. He's like, that kid believes in me, and as long as he does that, I believe in him. We got each other's backs. That was the first time. I believe I've got that correct. But yeah, that might be my favorite version of paying off a just offhanded conversation. There was no reason for them to bring that back up again. And they get 3 versions of that story. You get Kamina's twice, essentially, through Yoko's words the second time. So it's essentially Yoko's version of what Kamina told her, and then you get Simone's. And it's done so well. That could have just fell apart. They could have just repeated the exact same words, and they didn't. Oh man.
Yeah, the way this show pays off moments like that is just so good.
And I cannot wait. The best payoff moment, and if I'm remembering correctly, they don't even mention that it's a payoff. Like, they don't call back to it, but it's in, like, it has to be like episode 20. It has to be. Because there's another episode that is basically like the finale arc, and this is a moment that happens right before that happens, but it references something done in one of the first, I won't spoil it, it was in episode 1 through 5. So just so I won't give you an idea to spoil a really cool thing that happens, but they don't mention it, but you as a character realize and go, okay, that happened. They're not going to call it back because they don't need to, because you know that it happened. And yeah, but we'll get there, and we'll get there a lot faster, because you're going to notice now with Mike, because my internet sucks and I'm going to have to do this. My screen will get capped off, everybody. You're probably noticing that when it's uploaded, but we're going to be doing these in groups of 3s versus 2s. So we'll be getting through it a lot faster. So essentially, pretty soon we're going to have to decide what we're going to do next, because this ain't going to make it past November, at least recording wise, if we do it at this pace, because it'll finish middle of November then. Should, if we keep doing it in 3s.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, exactly. But, oh, I'm so excited. Oh, man, we are itching so damn close to season 2, where just everything starts getting paid off, and strap your freaking seatbelt on, because there's no brakes on the train once season 2 hits. There's none. And like I've said before, you'll notice moments where, like, the animation is a little bit more detailed in certain moving scenes and stuff like that. because like I said, they literally ran out of budget making the show. But in season 2, it's like they randomly found a broker that was like, here's some extra. Go use that. Because, oh boy, did they get the rest of their budget in season 2. When you get to meet a certain villain, you will go, that thing looks really pretty. You get to see a shit ton of it. But yeah. Anyways, like we said, I'm glad you have a high of opinion of this episode as you did, because this was the one. This is the first moment that when I watch this, like you said, there's no turning back. That spiel, just the dead silence followed by the light chipping, and they focus on the dirt. The dirt is progress and all that. That was just like, this is going to, I like had a feeling this is going to be my favorite show of all time in that moment. Just because of, like, mentioned it several times, me as a person, but oh, it's just so good. And that you loved it as much was just like the fact that the turning point episode for me was the one for you. So good. We're having such similar feelings on this show. I love it. But man, all right. We're just gonna keep gushing. There was only a few scenes in this episode like, oh no, we're not done. While we are not done, I almost forgot one of the other coolest moments in this entire show, and it happens after the "I'm me" speech. When he goes back down into Gurren, or just before that, the leading up to that, when Rossio is getting literally eaten by Gember.
Oh yeah.
And
yep.
yeah, and then all of a sudden Rossio is like just done, and he's like, let's combine, and they get a slightly different musical stinger when he comes down and slams in, and he has that speech. Just how cocky it is that he opens the cockpit knowing full well he could get shot. He's like, you ain't doing shit. I'm about to expose, and you're gonna listen to me. But and then after that, when they're about to get chomped, and he's just like, no, I'm not doing it. And also the fact that Nia is his permanent support. Like the fact that she puts her hands underneath his to help cool him down, to guide him through this, to make sure he gets to the point of where he's okay, is so good. You get to have another moment in the sky in this episode. It's so good. That shot is beautiful.
And this is where the episode title comes in. The Simone hands off on Netflix. On Netflix, they retitle it like Simone raise your hands or something.
Yeah, the episodes are based off of the original translation, so it's really funky. And like I said, depending on where you watch it on Hulu or on Netflix, like there's 3 different titles for some of these episodes. I'm like, just pick off the original translation. But anyway, after he gets back down and they're getting chomped on and they still can't get out, and all of a sudden Simo's just like, nope, I'm not having it. And he says finishing move with just assertion, and just like 68 drills pop out of the side of Gurren, and he backs off. Kitan goes, wait, what? And then Yoko goes, and then she's about to say that's Kamina's move, and then all of a sudden he pulls it off and just perfects it, and they're like, no, that was theirs, and now it's his. So it's like,
it's the everyone shuts up moment.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's when it becomes abundantly clear that Simone is the protagonist.
Yep. And they even said that in the beginning, where there was like, they basically show you were like, yeah, all these prologues about the man who met his destiny were kind of about Kamina, but now they're really going to be about Simone. Oh, man. That move is just going to keep getting ridiculous. I say it every time, and I'm going to gush about it every time. I cannot fucking wait to tell you about that movie because it's the stupidest thing ever. All right, everybody. We've gushed on long enough, and I could gush on forever. This is probably the top 3 best episodes in this series.
Oh, it's certainly.
Oh, yeah. And you haven't seen all of them, but I could tell you with certainty that this is in the top 3. But, Mike, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK42. Check out all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can find this show and all my other podcasts on renegadepopculture.com. Need escape? So do we. You can also find all my podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you listen. Follow Renegade Pop Culture on Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. And yeah, Stay tuned for the next episode, which is the beach episode.
It is. And before we leave, I wanted to ask you about something that I forgot to look at in my notes. What did you think of that really cool, differently animated way of Genome and Nia with her doll?
It was certainly different.
Yeah, that, man, I wanted to ask you about that, but I totally forgot. Yeah, that was something else. But yeah, next week you get the second fan service episode, and it's the freaking
it's the obligatory and anime beach episode.
And of course, because this starts out as like, we're going to do every version of everything, they had to have the damn beach episode. This is one of the few we're kind of taking a break moments in the show, because you had a lot of heavy shit. You had Kamina dying, and then you had a 3-episode arc of Simo getting his shit together. We're like, we'll give you a break for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, and on a lot of the Renegade Pop Culture podcasts. Go look up one of the latest ones. I don't know if it was the latest one, because I believe you guys had something come up in the meantime.
Yeah, I think there was like an indie comic interview in between.
Yes. The latest one we were in, we talked a lot about The Boys and a lot of stuff that came from New York Comic Con, but it was mainly just The Boys. It's really good. And The Boys is really good. You should go watch The Boys. If you're squeamish, though, maybe hold back. Because
yeah,
that's the only thing I could say. Maybe find there. I can't think of it, but there is an app that actually you can turn on filters for TV shows.
Huh.
I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to remember if I can message it to you, but it's really cool. Look it up. There's something that where you can actually filter out like violence, sex, and a couple other things. And the website actually, they edit the stuff as it comes in. I believe it's probably illegal because it's not a certain thing, but I've seen people use it. Thank you guys for watching. There was a couple of tangents in these past 3, but we had a lot that we wanted to talk about, especially Neon Genesis. We really should do Neon Genesis.
I think our next series will be Neon Genesis.
I'm very okay with that, because that's going to be new to both of us. But yeah, everywhere at Organoid Zero, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can find me on Twitch, normally at 6 p.m. Central, Monday, Wednesday, and then 8 p.m. Central on Fridays. As soon as November hits, I'm going to start streaming Miles Morales and Godfall off the PS5. I'm quite excited about that. So if you want to look at that, come and check it out. Everybody, thank you so much for being beautiful. I love you all. Thank you so much for reading along with this. Like I said, you'll see my beautiful face again as soon as my internet's fixed or I figure it out. But until then, spin on, and I love all you guys. See you later.
Peace.